I just came back from Ukraine a week ago, and I have, as always, when I come to Ukraine, I have a lot of emotions and feelings after the trip. I definitely noticed that the war has penetrated deeply in the society. And while it's my fourth time going to Kyiv, since the start of the full-scale war, it's always very different. Kyiv is a very, very vibrant city. A lot is going on. You can see people working and meeting all the time, but at the same time, you see the memorials, you also see the veterans on the street. And I think especially now, as it was before Easter, I felt that was much more present than in the previous times. And of course, there are the sirens. I think by now we all have heard them already, at least on TV. So I also had the feeling that there is a broad consensus that the war will continue for an extended period and escalate further. Ukraine is at least politically preparing for this scenario. And while Ukraine is open for ceasefire, they also understand that the ball is as well on Russian side. Regarding the ceasefire, my takeaway, and also Ukraine is officially open for ceasefire, and they have suggested it numerous times, as well now in response to Vladimir Putin's suggestion to have a ceasefire for 8 and 9 of May. Ukraine proposed a 30-day ceasefire, which was rejected. So in a way, I think Russia has not shown any genuine openness to negotiations, and the general understanding is that Putin's ambitions remain unchanged. He seeks to get as much territory as possible. And while the discussion of ceasefire, I think, is still on the table, the discussion for a so-called peace deal or a certain scenario of the end of the war is quite distant. In Ukraine, they already follow and monitor Russia's hybrid attacks in the EU. They have become more present, and I think from Ukrainian side there is a concern that Russia is very present and penetrating in the European countries, including through elections, but also, as I mentioned, through hybrid threats. What I found really maybe striking personally, that the scenario of an attack on the Baltic states is in the equation, and it won't be a tank that attacks, it would be rather a drone or missiles. I think we can learn a lot from Ukraine, and what was also, maybe I didn't not mention earlier, is also the relations with the US, of course. They are very much the ones that dictate the current situation and the current geopolitical reality. And I mean, besides, of course, the ongoing resilience that Ukraine has shown despite the challenges and the ongoing war, I think we also can learn really technical things from them. And Ukraine is really focused on conducting drone warfare. They also have adjusted their training system for the military and also their military doctrine. And they have incorporated the electronic and drone warfare into the wars, into their war. And I think they also see the model of conscription outdated, or at least some people. This is what I've heard, and I found it interesting. They have started piloting a new system where they train people for 45 days to have a basic military training, but to have it much more widely in society. So basically to ensure some kind of readiness for the war. And for women, this training is currently voluntary, but it is obligatory for men that are studying. And while, you know, I think this also shows the grim reality that the war might be going on, I think that also shows the readiness to be prepared. Ukraine is using or constantly developing new tools, and they would really like to be also integrated in all the discussions and potential coalitions of the willing on how to use the modern warfare and how to be better prepared for it. Yeah, I think what's important from the European support, especially in the current relations with the US, is for EU to continue showing unity towards Ukraine. There is a concern that the US and Russia are pushing for the removal of sanctions against Russia, and for Ukraine, and I think also for the EU, it's very important that the sanctions are staying. There is also unity in terms of EU accession and support towards Ukraine. As we now know, there is one member state that is blocking the opening of the accession of the first cluster of fundamentals for Ukraine. And EU accession remains a priority for Ukraine. Despite the war, they have achieved a lot in terms of reforms, and they are ready to open this cluster. So I think here is as well, the ball is on our side. or we have the cards to do it. This is an important expectation, then continue military and defense support. And also EU has the capabilities, but we have to be a bit quicker in how we act, especially in case of potential halt of US support for Ukraine. Europe should be able to step up. And at the moment, I think we are a little bit behind with our preparation, including with the intelligence support.